listening to the Signalman Show on the Brother. Hi, BRO. I'm your host, Josh Urban. That's Muddy Waters, Trouble No More on WDCE 90.1 FM Richmond and worldwide at WDCE.net. I'm your host, Josh Urban. And, it is time for our little podcast segment. So what we got here is we're listening to all this wonderful music, celebrating Black History Month, and looking into some of the history behind all of these wonderful songs and musicians and some of the hardships they endured and triumphs they accomplished and all this stuff. And it really brings up the question of listening to a lot of different types of music. Right? I mean, like, well, why should we listen to a lot of different types of music? Well, yes, we can do it to feel superior. And that is honestly one of the reasons that I do it. I'll be like, oh yes, I like all types of music and blah, 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 blah. I'll just rattle things off and whatever, right? But what about a deeper thing? Here's something I've been listening to too many psychology lectures lately, and something that I thought of was this, or something that's been presented to me and I've kind of adopted it to my own is this, and hopefully hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so let's say what we know is what we know, and there's a lot that we don't know. Most of the things in the world we don't know. And that could be visualized as the wilderness. And then what we do know would be visualized as sort of a clearing, and we have a little cabin in the woods. Oh no, cabin in the woods? No, not a horror movie. Sometimes, right? But we have a little cabin in the woods, a clearing. And then there's a thicket in between the clearing, and the wilderness. And this might be described as our dream state. Because if you think about it, the question is, where do our thoughts come from? Where do our dreams come from? They just pop into our head? Well, that's not good enough, right? What do you mean they just pop into our head? Carl Jung thought that our dream state was sort of a buffer between the unknown and the known, and we'd be seeing and hearing and being exposed to things all the time, but we wouldn't even pay attention to it most of the time. There's so much information presented at us, especially in today's day and age, that we can't possibly sort it all. So we only see what we are looking for. But all the other stuff is there too, and it gradually filters into our consciousness, the clearing with the cabin in the woods, through this dream state or thicket in this example that I'm presenting. Hopefully it's weird, but hopefully it makes sense. So when it bubbles up into consciousness, and we might dream about it, and then we would eventually articulate it and bring it into being. Okay? Great, whatever, maybe. Just go with me. Let's see what we got here. So, then from there, artists and musicians, perhaps we work in the thicket, in the dream state. People ask me a lot of times when I'm teaching guitar, Josh, how do you know what to play? And the answer is I don't. And that seems unsatisfactory because that opens up for mistakes and bad notes. Absolutely. That's part of the excitement of music, is you're creating something from nothing, right? So it's sort of like where instead of taking a thought off the shelf in our cabin in the woods and saying, oh, I'm going to turn this into music, it's like we don't know how we feel, and we go rummaging around in the thicket and we play things and we sort of conjure them into being from this thicket. You can see this when you go to look at abstract art. I was just down at the Hirshhorn Museum yesterday, and there was a German exhibition, and it was whacked, man. I didn't particularly like it, but I was looking around and it was like wandering through the artist's subconscious. And I think perhaps for them, it was too. And they bring these ideas into being. Instead of starting with an idea and then making something abstract out of it, maybe what starts abstract and then becomes more crystallized. So, this brings us back to the question of why should we listen to a lot of different types of music? Especially if we're on this historical journey today with today's show. Well, what if it was something like, when we listen to music, we're hearing other people fish around in their unconscious and try to figure things out. And we can listen to that too, and maybe that will help us figure things out. Since modern music and culture is based on history, by understanding history more, we can understand the past more, which is what gets us to the present, so we can understand the present more and understand ourselves more. So not only is it an interesting exercise to listen to a lot of different music and learn the history behind it, but also perhaps an important one. Perhaps it can help us become better people. And as I learn about these artists and their personal lives and journeys and paths and struggles and triumphs, it's cool. You can see reflections of ourselves in it in some way, shape, or form. Something to think about. something to think about. And let me know if you have any thoughts. I know it's kind of goofy, kind of bizarre, but then again, so am I. So, something that I've been thinking about. You're tuned to the Signalman Show on WDCE 90.1 FM Richmond and worldwide at WDCE.net. And we got some more old blues for you. Here's Robert Johnson with They're Red Hot.